Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to lesson 4 of your diploma in English for Beginners. We are almost halfway through the course, and can you guys believe it? I told you in lesson 1 how quickly this course would go, and I think now you're all seeing just how quickly it's going. So hello to everyone, welcome back. We've got a great lesson today. It's called Amazing Descriptions, where we are going to look at everything to do with descriptive language. But before we do that, let's just remember what we did in lesson 3. What happened in the past, or what happened in lesson 3. You explored the different past tenses. You were introduced to quantifiers. You learned to make requests and offers, and you honed, or you improved, as we all know, you honed your spoken English, where we looked at softening negative comments, and you mastered the use of relative clauses. So we had defining and non-defining relative clauses. So this course is going to teach you to speak and write confidently. And here's my quote of the lesson from someone called Ludwig Wittgenstein. And it says, "The limits of my language are the limits of my world." Now, Ludwig Wittgenstein was an Austrian philosopher, and this was one of many famous quotes from him. Now, what are limits? Well, don't worry too much about that, because we're going to look at limits later on in the lesson. But just remember that quote. The limits of my language are the limits of my world. So what will we look at in today's lesson? You will learn all there is to know about descriptive language. You will explore the difference between ed and ing adjectives. You will master comparative and superlative adjectives. You will be exposed to limits, there we are, and restrictions. And you'll hone your spoken English, where we'll learn to add emphasis. Of course, hone means improve. You will improve your spoken English. And as always, we'll finish with a summary, a look ahead to next week's lesson, and a Q&A at the end. So without further ado, let's jump straight in to descriptions. Now, I want you all to think of someone famous. Now, don't write it into your chat box. I don't want to know, but just think of someone famous, okay? Now, let's look at some questions. Is it a boy or a girl? What color is her or his hair? Has he or she got blue eyes? How old is he or she? Where is he or she from? Okay, look at all these questions. To answer these questions, you need to be able to describe the person you're thinking of. Elsa, that is the chat box that you are typing in right now. That is the chat box. That's where you ask and answer questions. But like I said, don't tell me the famous person you're thinking of. Just think of these questions and try answer them in your head. Is it a boy or a girl? How old is he or she? Has he or she got blue eyes? Or what color eyes do they have? Okay, Sarah is saying his hair is brown. Okay, so that's what we are going to look at first. We're going to look at describing people. Now look here. The older lady says, "Tell me about your new friend." And she says, "He's in his 20s. So that's the first thing she says to describe him. He's in his 20s. And that is talking about what? Exactly. It's talking about his age. Okay? So obviously we could say he is 28, or he is 28 years old. But often we would just say he's in his 20s, or he's in his 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, etc. Okay? And also teens. We say teens for, 11 to 19. Okay? So, he's in his 20s. He could be 21, he could be 29. Next, she says, he's 5'11" or 180 centimeters. So, depending on where you are in the world, in America and England, they use feet and inches. So, we would pronounce this 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", whatever it is. Or here in Europe, we use centimeters. So he's 180 centimeters. And that's of course talking about his height. Exactly, Nancy and Guy. Brilliant. Next up, he's really nice. Okay, he's really nice. And that's talking about his qualities. So, let's look at some qualities. And we've got opposites here. He's friendly or he's rude. He's tall or he's short. Okay? This guy is 5'11", so he's tall, we would say. Maybe average. I'm 5'11", so I don't know if that's tall or if it's average. He's nice or he's mean. He's pretty or he's ugly. Now, of course, for men, we would probably use handsome and not pretty. Handsome. Pretty is more for girls. For a man, we would say handsome. He's thin or he's fat. He's loud or he's quiet. Okay? Ibrahim is saying he's not very beautiful. Well, we don't know. It's only a cartoon. Let's not get too hung up on it. Next up, she says he has blue eyes. Okay? Notice the verb. He has blue eyes. It's not he is blue eyes. He has blue eyes. And then we've got our different eye colors. So, people would have blue eyes. They would have green eyes. Some people have grey color eyes. And then we've got hazel or brown eyes. So, often we would say brown eyes, but some people say hazel, okay, hazel eyes. That just means brown eyes. Some people just say that instead of brown. Okay, Yasmin wants to know what this word means. It is the opposite of nice, Yasmin. If someone is very nice, if someone is not very nice, we would say they are mean. They are mean. Maria is saying, your eyes are blue, is that correct? That is very correct, Maria. My eyes are blue. This is very like myself, except I don't wear glasses. He wears glasses, just like I said. So we can see here, he wears glasses. He's very funny. Okay, there we have more qualities. He's very funny. He has short blonde hair. Okay, Norhan, yes, hazel has the same meaning as brown. When we talk about eye color, some people just say hazel, but it just means brown. Okay, hazel is a shade of brown. Omar, very good question. Glass or glasses? This is plural. When we talk about these glasses that people use to see, it's always plural. Glasses. Okay, always plural. Next up, he has short blonde hair. So we're talking about his hair. And blonde is this color here. So he has short blonde hair. Now let's look at the hair colors. We've got brown hair, black hair, red hair, like this lady here. That's red hair, like a good Irish person. And some people would call that ginger hair. Okay? Ginger hair. So, there we would say she has red hair or she has ginger hair. And then grey hair. Just like this lady here, grey hair. Paul is asking, Why don't we use the present tense? He have blue eyes. Paul, we are using the present tense. But remember, he is the third person, which means we don't use have, we use has. This is the present simple. Don't forget, have and has are both present simple. So that is what we would use to describe people. Nora is asking, could we say yellow hair? Nora, we don't say yellow hair. We don't say yellow hair. We use this word, blonde. For example, Swedish people. Swedish people traditionally have blonde hair. And Elsa, it is with an E. Yeah, in English it is spelt with an E. Blonde hair. Okay? So that is how we would describe people. But what if we want to describe your house or your apartment or your flat? So look at this question. What's your house like? And that's just a conversational way to say, tell me about your house. What's your house like? What's your apartment like? What's your flat like? Okay? A flat is the same as an apartment. Flat is quite an English word. Okay? So, what's your house like? Therese is saying that Swedish people do not have blonde hair. Well, traditionally, Therese, when people think of Swedish people, we think of blonde hair. That was just the example I was trying to give. So let's look at how to describe where we live. It's quite modern, but cozy. Now, these are adjectives used to describe where you live. So, modern is like new. If something is modern, it's new. New and clean. That's what modern means. The opposite of old. So you've got old and you've got modern. Big or small. So my house is big or my house is small. Then we've got, she says it's quite modern but cozy. So cozy means comfortable. Kind of small and comfortable. So for example, this house here, you could say it is cozy. Ahmed is saying warm. Yeah, so comfy. Exactly, Iman, yeah. Cozy means quite small but comfortable and cozy. And then the opposite would be spacious. Okay, spacious is a big wide open place. Like an office. A large office would be spacious. Okay, so you've got spacious or cozy. Then you've got one story or two story. So this house here is one story. It's how many levels, how many floors. So one story. Whereas this one here would be two story. And then if it's any more than that, we would say, for example, the apartment block is multi-story. Multi-story, okay? There is no real difference between an apartment and a flat. They are the same. When people say apartment or flat, they're the same. Okay, next she says it has 2 bedrooms. So often we would describe where we live by how many bedrooms it has. I live in a 2-bedroom house. I live in a 3-bedroom house. I live in a 4-bedroom house. Yeah, so guys, one story is how many levels, how many floors, okay? So this is a 1-story house. This is a 2-story house, okay? I already explained that. So next up, she says the living room is pretty big. The living room is pretty big. So let's look at the different rooms we have. We've got bedrooms, of course, bathrooms, the living room, or sometimes they call it the sitting room. So the sitting room and the living room would be the same. Then you've got your kitchen, and then the dining room where you eat. So the dining room. So the living room is pretty big. It has 2 bedrooms. They are both very big. Shaima says, I live in a 3-bedroom house. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, next up, she says, it's on the 4th floor. So if you live in an apartment block, it's on the 4th floor, or the 5th floor, or the 10th floor. Okay? Then she says, it's in the nice part of Madrid. So this lady lives in Madrid, in Spain, and she says that her house is in the nice part of Spain. So she's describing the location, okay? The location. So let's look at some other locations. So it's in the nice part of Madrid. It is next to the park. It is near the shops. It is south of the river. It is on the train line, or it is on the bus route. Okay? That just means the train station or the bus stop is close by. It's on the train line or it's on the bus route. Okay? So that would mean there is a bus stop nearby or the train station nearby. Okay. That's a good question. Hen Mohammed is asking, why can't we say it's on the 4th story? Okay, so story is when we talk about levels. So if you're describing the house or the building, you would say it's a 15-story building. Okay, the building has 15 stories. But when you're talking about where you live, you would say, I live on the 4th floor. Or if you live in a house, my bedroom is on the 2nd floor. Okay? So, if you're describing the inside, you would say floor. And a few people are asking what a route is. So, a route is the path that the bus takes. So, if a bus goes from one place to the other, and it goes the same way every day, that is the bus route. That's the bus route. Okay? The bus route. Now, a lot of people are asking 2-story or 2 stories. Okay? It depends how you're using it. If you say, I live in a 2-story house, it is singular. 2-story house. Because you're using it as an adjective. If you say, my house has 2 stories, then you use plural. But we would not really say that. We would usually just say, I live in a 2-story house. We use it as an adjective. So which of these sentences is incorrect? My house is modern and clean. My new boss is really mean and ugly. We have a 1-bedroom flat in the city. Mary has 170 centimeters tall. Mark is loud but funny. So which of these is incorrect? What do we think, guys? I see Kerry, the first one with the correct answer. Estelle, fantastic. Nejma as well. Hekma, Therese, Damien. Lots of people. Heidi as well. Dahlia, fantastic. I am Mohammed. Of course, it's number 4. Mary has 170 centimeters tall. Because we don't use the verb have when we're talking about height. We would say Mary is 170 centimeters tall. When we're talking about height, we use the verb to be. I am 6 foot. Mary is 170 centimeters tall. So well done to everybody who got that one correct. Now we're going to move on to a special type of adjective. Okay, Ahmed is asking, what is the meaning of loud? Ahmed, loud is being very loud, like that. Okay, the opposite of quiet. Quiet, loud. So that's what loud means. I hope that explains it for you. Okay, so now we're going to look at a very specific type of adjective, and these are ed and ing adjectives. Now these can be very confusing, but there's no need for them to be. Ahmed says, I got your point. Good, I'm glad, Ahmed. That was the best way I could describe it. So I'm sorry if anyone's speakers were on too loud. I apologize. So let's look at these sentences. This class is confusing me. The last class confused me. Now, the word confuse here is being used as a verb, okay? These are being used as verbs. This class is confusing me, present simple. The last class confused me, past simple. Or sorry, I said present simple, present continuous. Sorry, I apologize before anyone pulls me on that. So this class is confusing me, present continuous. The last class confused me, past simple. We know that, we have looked at these. So Yasmin, confusing is if you don't understand. Okay, you don't understand. Now, look at this. Not every word ending in ed or ing is a verb. These can also be adjectives, okay? So this lesson is all about description and adjectives. So, let's look at them being used as adjectives. It is so confusing, okay? The class is so confusing. That is being used as an adjective because you are saying the class is confusing. It's like saying the class is big, the class is fun, the class is confusing. It's an adjective, it's not a verb. Look at this one here. I was really confused, or you could say I am really confused. That is being used as an adjective. Just like saying I'm hungry, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm confused. Maybe some of you are confused right now. But don't be, because I will explain the difference for you. The main thing to understand is that every time you see ed or ing, that does not mean it's a verb. They can be adjectives. So let's look at the difference. And I can see lots of people already writing in what we use them for. So let's start off with ed adjectives. And these adjectives describe how people feel about someone or something. So, how people feel. Okay? That's the main thing to remember. Now let's look at ing adjectives. These adjectives describe a person or situation which was caused by the feeling. Okay? They describe the person or situation which was caused by the feeling. So the easiest thing to remember, and what I always say to my students, feel ed, describe ing. Let's look at some examples. I'm disappointed because I missed the party. Okay? That is how you are feeling. I am disappointed because I missed the party. If you wanted to describe that situation, it is disappointing. Okay? I'm disappointed. It is disappointing. So you can see the difference. This football match is so exciting. This football match is so exciting. You could say, I am excited. Okay? So you can see how they are used. Look at this one. I'm so bored. This movie is boring. Okay? It's not interesting. It's boring. So I'm so bored. This movie is boring. There's both of them being used in one sentence. Can we listen to some relaxing music? Music that is relaxing, okay? Adjective, it's describing the music. Can we listen to some relaxing music? I was amazed when I saw his new car. I was amazed by how good Mark's class was. It was amazing, okay? So we're using them as adjectives. And there are lots of examples of these. This is just a few of the common ones. Satisfied, satisfying. Exhausted, exhausting. Fascinated, fascinating. Nejma says, an amazing class. Thank you very much, Nesma. Or Nejma, I feel like I forced you to say that. Surprised, surprising. Rewarded, rewarding. Managed, managing. Okay, so just try to remember how you feel, ed, and if you're describing it, ing. That's the best thing to remember. Now, let's look at a question. Which of these sentences is incorrect? Which is wrong? Hard work can be rewarding. Finishing a project is satisfied. Hard work is often rewarded with money. The company is managed well. Finishing a project is satisfying. So which of these is incorrect? I can already see Nancy, Antonios, Islam, Deepa, fantastic work. Sarah, Jana, or Yana, Atef. Brilliant, guys. Of course, it is number 2. Finishing a project is satisfying. Okay? You are describing the situation. Finishing a project is satisfying. You could say, I am satisfied because I finished the project. Okay? So that one is incorrect. Very good work to everyone who got that one. Now let's move on to a different type of adjective. And we're going to move on to comparatives and superlatives. Comparatives and superlatives. Now, before we just jump in, let's introduce ourselves to Scott and Laura. Okay? We've got Scott and Laura. And they are best friends. Okay? They are best friends. And let's look at them have a conversation with each other. So Scott says, I'm taller than you. And Laura says, but I'm younger than you, Scott. Yes, Laura, which makes you less mature than me. You're lucky you're my best friend. Only because I've known you longer than anyone. Okay? So look at these sentences. Now, before you ask, mature means to act your age. So if you are 30 years old and you act like a 15-year-old, you would not be mature. Okay, so mature is acting your age. So Scott says, yes, Laura, you are younger than me, which makes you less mature than me. So that is mature. Now, which words in here are comparatives or superlatives? Who can point some out? So type into your chat boxes and give me some of the comparatives or superlatives being used here. Brilliant, I can see some good answers coming in. We got longer, taller, best. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So everyone here has a comparative or a superlative in it. We've got best, younger, taller, less mature, longer. Okay, these are all comparatives and superlatives. So let's have a look, and we'll start with comparatives. These are used, and you can tell from the name, these are used to compare two or more people, objects, or situations. So we use comparatives to compare things. Okay? So if we are comparing two different things, we use comparatives. Whereas superlatives are used to describe the greatest or worst quality in a group. Okay? And the superlative focuses on one thing. So let's have a look at some adjectives. Some regular old adjectives. Big, happy, expensive, good, intelligent, bad, fat. Okay? Some regular adjectives. Now let's look at the comparatives of these. What's the comparative of big? Bigger. We all know that one. Happy, happier. Expensive, more expensive. Good. Is it gooder? No, it's better. Intelligent, more intelligent. Bad, worse. Fat, fatter. Now what about the superlatives? Big, biggest. Happy, happiest. Expensive, most expensive. Good, best. So we all know that word. Intelligent, most intelligent. Bad, worst. And fat, fattest. Now, most of you knew all of those, but what if you come across a new adjective and you don't know the comparative or the superlative? For example, what if you come across the word comfortable, okay, comfortable, and you don't know the comparative or the superlative? Well, luckily, there are rules. That is the best thing. I can see Bozika has already written in the answer. But that was just an example, Bozika. And yes, Zinab as well. But we have rules to how we make these comparatives and superlatives. So let's start with comparatives. Now, let's start off looking at the word syllable. Who can tell me what a syllable is? So, syllables. A syllable is how many sounds are in a word. For example, the word big has one syllable. But what about the word polite? How many syllables are in the word polite? Who can tell me? Oh, I see a wrong answer. Unfortunately, it's not 3 exactly. It's 2. Polite. Okay, 2 syllables. So that is what syllables are. The amount of different sounds in a word. So, with one syllable adjectives, we add er to the regular adjective to make the comparative. For example, shorter, cleaner, thinner, bigger, taller, smaller. Okay? They are all one syllable. Short is a one syllable word. Clean, thin, they're all one syllable. So we add er to the adjective. Adjectives ending in y, like hungry or happy or easy, we drop the y and we add ier. For example, hungrier, easier, luckier. Okay, so we get rid of the y and add ier. If it's got 2 or more syllables, these are the easy ones, we just bring in the word more. Okay, very simple. We just put more in front of the word. Like you all said, more comfortable, more expensive. Okay, so how many syllables are in the word expensive? Expensive. How many syllables are in that word? Get into it. Yes, exactly, Sarah. It is 3. 3 syllables in the word expensive. So simply we add more. more expensive, more comfortable, okay, more intelligent, more interesting. Now, the last rule is that some are irregular. Unfortunately, everything in English has irregulars, but luckily there are not too many irregular ones. In fact, there is only 3, which are good, bad, and far. Okay, good, bad, and far. Which we know, good, the comparative is better. Bad, we have worse. And then far, we have further or farther. Okay, there's 2 different comparatives. But luckily, the 3 irregular ones we use all the time. Okay? Paul is asking, can we say non-syllable words? No, Paul, because there's no such thing as a non-syllable word. Every word has at least 1 syllable. It has to, or else there would be no sound. Okay? So, good, bad, far. You will never forget those because they're the easiest ones, the most common ones. You all knew them already. Okay? Now let's look at the superlatives and how we make these. And the good news is they are the exact same rules, except instead of or, we add est. For example, shortest, cleanest, thinnest, tallest, smallest, biggest, okay? They're the exact same rules, but instead of or, we add est. Instead of or, we add iest. Hungriest, easiest, luckiest, okay, happiest. So they're the exact same rules, and that's what makes it very easy. 2 or more syllables, instead of adding more, we add most. Most expensive, most comfortable, most intelligent. And then of course we've got our irregulars. Now, what's the superlative for good? So we've got good, better, and exactly, very good. See, you all know them already, Kaula. Best, worst. So we've got good, better, best. Bad, worse, worst. Far, further, furthest. Far, farther, farthest. Okay? So, they are very easy to remember, the only irregular ones. And the rules are all very easy also. So let's look at some examples. Now, I got the highest grades in my class. Which word here is very important that we need to use with our superlatives? And I've got it highlighted in red, so it should be quite obvious. The. Okay? When we talk about superlatives, we are usually talking about one thing. So we always have the. I got the highest grades in my class. 1. The best or the worst quality in a group. Exactly, Sagir. Let's look at this sentence. It is colder here than in Saudi Arabia, but Russia is the coldest. Now, when we're using comparatives, what's the most important word that we need to use? What's the very, very important word that we always need to use? Exactly, Haneen. Than. It's highlighted in red. So you are comparing 2 things. You always need to use than. It is colder here in Ireland than in Saudi Arabia. But Russia is the coldest, okay? Always remember than and the, okay? I am taller than my mother. Anytime you're comparing. Ireland are better at rugby than South Africa, Okay, not only are these all true statements, they're good examples. Okay, that was for all the South African students. English is one of the most difficult languages to learn. Okay, English is one of. So, you don't have to say it is the most difficult. You can say English is one of the most difficult languages to learn. I can see lots of people arguing with my statement about South African rugby. Okay. Nora says Mark is the best English teacher. Exactly correct, Nora. Fantastic sentence. And very true. So let's look at another question, guys. Which of these is wrong? The largest company. More larger responsibilities. More expensive houses. The best performance. The most polite. Which of these is incorrect? Very easy. Marianne, Alfred, Ibrahim, Bassam, everyone getting it right. Hekmat. It is, of course, number 2. More larger responsibilities. Here we have large. One syllable, so we just add or in this case because it's already got an E, which means we do not need to use more. That is wrong. Incorrect. Okay, so good work everyone there. Now next up we've got limits and restrictions. Now we had this word at the beginning, we had limits, and now we're going to learn all about limits and restrictions. So let's look at a sentence here. Footballers earn too much money. Now let's look at another sentence. Mark does not earn enough money. Now I'm not asking are these sentences correct? Although they are, I do not earn enough money. But what words are expressing limits or restrictions in these sentences? What do we think? Which words jump out and are expressing limits or restrictions? Exactly, guys. There you have it. Too much, not enough. Too much, not enough. They are the main things we are going to be looking at, the main words, the main expressions. Now, let's break this down a little bit. And let's look at the word to. T-O-O. Not the number 2, T-W-O. Not the conjunction to, T-O. Okay, or the preposition T-O. This is to do with limits and restrictions. T-O-O. And to means more than needed. Okay, more than you need. Let's look at examples. He is too old to play football with the kids. Okay, he is older than needed. He's too old to play football with the kids. The car is too big for the garage. It won't fit. The car will not fit in the garage. It's too big. I bought too much food. I'm stuffed. More than I needed. More food than I needed. I'm stuffed. Stuffed just means I'm full. I'm full of food. I'm stuffed. So I bought too much food. I'm not too worried about the exam. Okay, so look at it in the negative. I'm not too worried about the exam. So that's a good thing. I'm not too worried about the exam. Now let's look at enough. And enough means sufficient. The right amount. Okay? Enough means the right amount or sufficient. I don't have enough time. Okay? I don't have enough time. You're not working fast enough. So you're working too slow. You're not working fast enough. Have you got enough money to pay? So you're asking a question. Do you have the amount of money you need to pay? Okay? Have you got enough money? And you could answer, I have more than enough. Okay? That's a good thing. I have more than enough. I have more than the amount I need. Than the sufficient amount. I have more than enough. Okay? So there's different ways we can use this. And if you're ever confused, look at this picture. We have not enough means we need more. So there's not enough water here. Enough means the right amount. And too much is more than we needed. Okay? More than we needed. So, let's look here. Here we have a garage and a Jeep. So, the garage is big enough for the Jeep. So we know enough means sufficient, the right amount. The garage is big enough for the Jeep. So, we call this a garage, and we call this a Jeep, or a 4x4, or an SUV, they call it in some places, okay? I just call it a Jeep. So, the garage is big enough for the Jeep. Is this sentence true? Tell me. Yes or no, true or false? Is this sentence true? Kerry was the first one answered who said yes, it is. Okay, this sentence is true. The garage is big enough for the Jeep. We can see here, the Jeep fits in, so yes, the garage is big enough for the Jeep. Now look at this. We have a second car. The garage is not big enough for two vehicles. The garage is too small for two vehicles. Now, vehicles is just a collective noun for cars, jeeps, trucks, lorries, aeroplanes, motorbikes. They are all vehicles, okay? Vehicles. So, what about these sentences? Is this one correct? The garage is not big enough for two vehicles. Is that true? What do we think? Exactly, Salma. This is correct. The garage is not big enough. Not enough room, okay? Less than we need. Not big enough. What about this one? The garage is too small for two vehicles. Is this one true? And Zainab is saying, yes, it is true. Exactly. These two sentences mean the exact same thing because we have got opposite adjectives. Big, small. So not big enough and too small mean the exact same thing. Just like we said, he is too old to play football with the kids. We could change that to he is not young enough to play football with the kids. So they're the same sentence using opposite adjectives. Now, let's look at something else, the last piece of this puzzle. Look here. Be careful, that coffee is very hot. Oh, thanks, but I like my coffee very hot. Well, it's too hot for me. Okay, so this lady here, she likes her coffee very hot. But this guy, he says, well, it's too hot for me. So let's look at the difference between these words, because this can confuse people. Very is used for emphasis. Now, we've seen this word emphasis before. Emphasis is when you want to emphasize something. So this guy's saying not just that the coffee is hot, he is saying the coffee is very hot. The coffee is very hot. Okay? Now, I can see your question, Ibrahim, and I will get to that in a second. And very can have a positive or a negative meaning. Now, for all of you asking, is to the same as so? No, it is not. You can use so here instead of very for emphasis. Be careful, that coffee is so hot. Okay, thanks, but I like my coffee. Well, we wouldn't use it there. Okay? Now, let's look at the difference with to. To is used for limits. Remember, it means more than we need. Okay, more than we need. And this only has a negative meaning. Very can have a positive or a negative meaning. To can only have a negative meaning. Look at the difference between these two sentences. The box is very heavy, but I can lift it. Okay, I can lift it. It's very heavy, but I can lift it. And look here. The box is too heavy. I can't lift it. It is too heavy for me to lift. Because to is for limits. Okay? More than we need. So if something is too heavy, you can't lift it. Okay? Caroline, emphasis is when we put stress on something. So instead of saying Mark is a good teacher, we could say Mark is a very good teacher. Mark is a brilliant teacher. That's putting emphasis. Okay? Putting stress. Okay? Ahmed says, I always understand when you say an example. Very good. That's what I'm here for. So that is the difference between very and to. So another question for you. Which of these sentences is correct? We haven't got too much money to buy it. There wasn't enough space for everyone to get in. He didn't do too much work to pass the exam. I didn't buy the jacket because it was big enough. So which of these is correct? Which sentence is correct? And I can already see the answers coming in. Different answers coming in, but I can see Kerry, Estelle, Marianne, Deepa, fantastic, Haneen, Ruba. Oh, great work, great work, great work. No, only one of them, Dipti, only one of them is correct, and it is the second one. There wasn't enough space for everyone to get in. Okay? Sentence 1, we haven't got too much money to buy it. That should be enough. We haven't got enough money to buy it. He didn't do too much work to pass the exam. That should be he didn't do enough. He didn't do sufficient work to pass the exam. I didn't buy the jacket because it was big enough. That just doesn't make sense. Why would you not buy the jacket if it was big enough? It should be I didn't buy the jacket because it wasn't big enough. Okay? So number 2 is the only correct sentence there. So well done, Mustafa, Nora, Mahmoud, Nazra, everyone who got that one correct. And now let's move on to our final piece of today's webinar, which is our spoken English section, and we are going to look at adding emphasis. So we all know what emphasis is now, okay? It is when we emphasize something, when we stress something, when we really try to get the point across. So let's look at how to add emphasis in your everyday conversation. So let's ask this man here, what do you like about your wife? Okay, a very risky question. Very risky question. What do you like about your wife? And he says, what I like about her is her sense of humor. Okay, what I like about her is her sense of humor. But the thing I love about her is how she makes everyone feel good. What I don't like is how she snores. Okay, what I don't like is how she snores. And anyone who doesn't know what snores means, it's when you're sleeping. That is snoring. Okay, that is snoring. And let's see. Zainab is asking what humor is. Humor is when you laugh at things, okay? When you find things funny or you are funny, okay? So he says what I like about her is her sense of humor. But the thing I love about her is how she makes everyone feel good. What I don't like is how she snores, okay? Now look at this. We can change the order of words in a sentence to add emphasis. And that is what he has done here. What do you like about your wife? He could have just said her sense of humor. But to add emphasis, he said what I like about her is her sense of humor. He could have just said she makes everyone feel good. But instead, he added emphasis. He said, the thing I love about her is how she makes everyone feel good. And then he didn't just say, I don't like how she snores. He said, what I don't like is how she snores. Okay? So we can change the order of words in a sentence to add emphasis. Okay? So it's a great little tip. Now let's look at his wife's answers. My husband is kind. He is easy to talk to. He doesn't smell great. So which one of these is emphasizing their answers more? You can see the difference. He doesn't smell great. What I don't like is how she snores. Okay? So you can really see how he is emphasizing his feelings a lot more than her. So it can be very effective, guys. Now that is not the only way to add emphasis. Let's look at these sentences. She can really annoy me at times. Of course we don't fully agree about everything. But I am deeply in love with her. These are emphatic expressions. So emphatic, that is the adjective which comes from the word emphasis. Emphatic. It's an adjective. So these words in red are called emphatic expressions. Okay? They are adverbs. We also call them intensifiers. Okay? Who's asking that? Takir is asking what annoy means. So to annoy someone is to irritate you, okay, or to make you angry. So that's to annoy someone. So let's look at some emphatic expressions that we use in English. Really, strongly, deeply, sincerely, fully, positively, totally, utterly. Okay? So there are lots and lots of examples of these. But these would be the most common ones. Okay? They are adverbs, you can see by ly, and we call them emphatic expressions. So, instead of saying, I like Mark's class, we would say, I really like Mark's class. I sincerely like Mark's classes. Okay? Instead of saying Mark is great, we would say Mark is utterly fantastic. Mark is positively brilliant. Okay? So utterly, Mohammed, you can see it just means without any doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. Okay? Yes, Marianne, seriously would be another example. Mark is seriously good at what he does. Okay? So these are emphatic expressions. And let's look at some more examples. Just like I said, I forgot I had this. Mark's course is positively brilliant. Okay? Positively brilliant. I was utterly shocked by what happened. So it's just like saying I was really shocked. I was totally shocked. I was utterly shocked by what happened. We sincerely hope you feel better soon. So look, sincerely means with my best wishes in mind. We sincerely hope you feel better soon. Dogs strongly dislike cats. Okay? Dogs strongly dislike cats. So they are very easy to use. We use them just like any other adverb, okay? But they are great for adding emphasis. She can really annoy me. I'm deeply in love with her. So that's a very nice saying. I am deeply in love with her. Okay? You should all remember that and tell your wife or husband or girlfriend or boyfriend. Tell them you are deeply in love with them. It's a very nice thing to say. So your final question of the evening. Which phrase is using an emphatic expression incorrectly? Okay, so which one is using it wrong? Think deeply. Ignore totally. Utterly hate. Strongly agree. Positively drive. So, which of these is being used incorrectly? Doesn't make very much sense. Brilliant work, Sarah, Nejma, Estelle, Damien, Iman, Mohammed, Omar, fantastic. Thomas as well, Blanca, Alfred, Hager, Salma, Yana, everyone. Paul, Ada, Deepa, Ahmed, too many people getting it correct. This late in the lesson, that's absolutely fantastic. It is, of course, number 5. Positively drive. Okay? We would not use any of these emphatic expressions for the verb drive. Okay? We don't use it for proper actions like that. So very well done, everyone who got that correct. I know plenty of other people that I didn't name got it right as well. Caroline and Hani, Oksana, fantastic, Fatima, brilliant. So what did we learn in today's lesson? You learned all there is to know about descriptive language. You explored the difference between ed and ing adjectives. You mastered comparatives and superlatives. You were exposed to limits and restrictions, and you honed your spoken English, where we looked at how to add emphasis. So guys, as always, remember to attend all of the lessons live, because you get to ask questions in real time and benefit the most. And if you have any other questions, we are here to help, so contact us anytime. But let's go back to what I showed you at the beginning of the lesson. And now that we know what limits are, we can understand this quote a little better. The limits of my language are the limits of my world. So that makes a lot of sense now. The limits of my language are the limits of my world. Wherever your language stops you, that will stop you accessing the whole world. Okay? And that brings me to this week's weekly challenge. And what I want all of you to do is to share with us your favorite quote. Okay? I want you to share with me your favorite quote about learning, self-improvement, or languages. So any quote that you really like about learning, self-improvement, or languages. And then the quote can be in your own language. It does not need to be in English, but if it's in your own language, please translate it for us, just so I know what it means. Then go to Shaw Academy's Facebook page, just like last week, and use the hashtag Shaw English Quote and enter your example. And like I did in lesson 3, the best examples will be selected for next week's class. Okay, so you'll get a shout out in the next lesson. Now, what will we have next week in lesson 5? Spoken English for telephones. where you will learn to talk about advice, obligations, and permission. You will improve your telephone manner. You will explore future forms for scheduling and organising. So we're going to look at future tenses. You will be exposed to future possibilities. And in our spoken English section, we'll look at making the right noises. So guys, it's been a fantastic lesson. Don't forget to check your student area for your second assignment on Friday. I want you all to do your second assignment when it goes into your area on Friday, okay? And then have a brilliant weekend, and I'll see you all next week for lesson 5. Goodbye now.